welcome back to the show. Today we're going to analyze some of the NBA's most prominent players and categorize them in their appropriate box in the alignment chart. An alignment chart was popularized by the game in Dungeons & Dragons. Every character's identity exists somewhere in between evil and good on the y-axis and lawful and chaotic on the x-axis. You'll figure it out. Obviously there's a lot of nuance to all these players and a lot that makes them up as a person. So this categorization is based on the way they navigate and control their careers. Many in relations to the teams that they play on or at least are under contract for. But evil, I'm going to change to ego, because I don't believe that anyone really finds pleasure in the suffering of others. I think malicious behavior is more deeply rooted in fear, most likely protecting the way they see themselves. Their ego, if you will. So that being said, let's start with our lawful good category. The player I chose is Nikola Jokic. The reason I chose Nikola Jokic is because of any player in the NBA, I believe he's the most content. Generally, as a player gains higher and higher status in the NBA, they want more and more. They want more airtime, they want more money, they want better teams to play on. And this is the key component. Jokic has been on a lot of injured teams. In 2020, Jokic and the Nuggets made it to the Western Conference Finals. And before this season, that was the last time that Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Jokic played together. And MPJ wasn't even at full strength. In 2021, the Nuggets got swept by the Suns in the second round of the playoffs. And last year, they got knocked out by the Warriors in the first round of the playoffs. These were Jokic's MVP seasons. I think most players at that status would start sending out the feelers that maybe they're unhappy with the team they're on, whether they want to be traded or they want one of the other stars to be traded. Jokic didn't do that. In fact, in 2021, after that brutal sweep by the Suns, Jokic on the flight home was already strategizing with coach Mike Malone on what they were going to do the following year. All that to say, I don't believe that Jokic will never leave Denver, or that if he does leave Denver that it'll change this chart at all. All I'm saying is that he lives up to the contract that he signed, and he isn't a victim of the disease of more. The idea being that you're always entitled to a little more than you have, which we will get to in a bit. Steph Curry is my good neutral, because I believe that Curry is the most committed to winning with the people that are around him. Steph Curry obviously has an incredible work ethic. He retrained his body to put all the weight on his hips and off of his ankles. We've all seen the Steph Curry drill. It's pretty arduous if you take a look at it. And every year he runs 2.5 miles every game on the court. No one can question that Steph keeps his side of the street clean. What makes Steph neutral though is his pure commitment to the win, as opposed to following any sort of ethos of how he wants his career to go, or at this point in his career, how he wants to be remembered. First of all, Steph had no problem with KD joining the Warriors. I think most players at Steph's caliber would have had a big problem with the next best player in the league joining their team and them becoming the second option. As long as it meant more wins for the Warriors, Steph didn't care, and they got a lot of wins. The other aspect is Steph's willingness to excuse the behavior of his teammate Draymond Green. From punching a teammate to kicking Steven Adams in the nads to stomping on Domantas Sabonis' ribcage. Steph lets this behavior slide. He's not publicly critical. This could be because Draymond and Steph are friends. You don't want to publicly criticize your buddy. But I think more than likely he wants to stay out of it because he wants to maintain a good rapport with Draymond, because he knows Draymond is a major part of the success that he's had. So, chaotic good is LeBron James. I think LeBron is good because I think he always has pure intentions, but he's willing to go to great lengths and overstep certain boundaries to get what he wants. I'm talking about taking less money to go to the Heat in 2010, also convincing D Wade and Chris Bosh to take less money. Maybe you don't call this chaotic, but it was definitely unexpected. Or his ability to undermine upper management, like when he coerced the Cavs to give up their #1 overall pick, Andrew Wiggins, for Kevin Love. And all the GM-like moves he's made as a Laker. Trading the farm for Anthony Davis, selling the rest of the farm for Russell Westbrook, selling Russell Westbrook for some new farm animals. Not comparing Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt to farm animals, it just goes with the analogy. And I think if the Lakers end up trading D'Lo and Rui Hachimura for Kyrie Irving, that will solidify my point as being chaotic good. Now on to the neutrals. Giannis is my lawful neutral. Giannis is never going to ask for a trade. It's not his style, but he's definitely going to flirt with the idea of signing a new contract somewhere else. I think Giannis is far more likely to use his social status and his leverage to get what he wants way more than Jokic is. I'm talking about the Drew Holiday acquisition, and now he's publicly said he feels no pressure to re-sign with the Milwaukee Bucks. So while I don't believe Giannis would ever create a toxic relationship between him and an organization, he's gonna do what he wants when he wants to do it. That's lawful neutral. My true neutral is Luka. Luka, in my opinion, is a complete balance. He never voices his frustration with the team to the media, even when Jason Kidd subbed him out at the last game of the season to make sure that they did not make the playoffs. I'm sure that was something Luka wasn't crazy about, but he also doesn't really vocalize his commitment to the Mavs, but also doesn't make any threats to use his leverage. He also just kind of does what he wants. He plays for the Slovenian national team, he overeats on the offseason, he has a couple beers before games. Personality-wise, I don't think Luka really cares about his reputation. I think he's just living, man. So that's why he is neutral. Kevin Durant is my choice for neutral chaotic, because mainly I think KD truly loves the game of basketball more than he takes care of his own reputation, but barely. So that's why I don't put him in the ego tier. tier. Durant signed with the Warriors, the team that beat them in the playoffs. That takes him out of what I would call good. He's also chaotic because you don't really know where his head's at. He left the team that he won 2 championships with to go play with a player that I put in the ego chaotic category. Spoiler. Then he requested a trade from that team after signing a massive extension. True chaos. But after not being traded, he still played for the Nets. That makes him neutral. A guy that doesn't love the game is just not gonna play. Now for the ego-driven players. James Harden is my lawful ego. Because he plays by the rules. He plays. He fills his contract. Even if he wears a fat suit while doing it. He escaped the Rockets. No lawyers were involved. He finessed his way out of the Nets. No lawyers were involved. And now he's using all the leverage he has to get out of Philly. By announcing that he doesn't want to be a part of an organization that Daryl Morey is a part of. And he announced it in China, a place where Daryl Morey is not looked at too favorably, ever since he publicly supported Hong Kong. I assume if the trade doesn't happen and Daryl Morey calls his bluff, Harden will fat suit up for the 76ers. Because he knows the law. Bradley Beal is my ego neutral and I don't have a particularly strong case for him, other than the fact that he's never formally asked for a trade. People just assumed he didn't want to play for the Wizards anymore. And ego-wise, he's always going to sign the biggest contract. I think he prioritizes getting big money and playing on a team that doesn't necessarily expect him to play all 82 games. So we all know Bradley Beal's priority, and so does he. My chaotic egos are Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving. I did 2 on this one. Because both of them have straight up demonstrated that they will not play if they don't want to. Kyrie refused the shot and missed most of his games in the 21-22 season. Which is totally fair because it was his choice and he forfeited a lot of money. And Ben Simmons just sitting out that season because he didn't want to play for the Sixers, or maybe his back hurt, or maybe he was mentally ill. I don't know. But he didn't play. They both have exhibited malicious behavior toward their former teams. Ben Simmons posting that IG story of him on the couch watching the Celtics blow out the Sixers, which I thought was super cringe because the Sixers had beat the Nets the series before. And in that series, Ben Simmons didn't even play. Ooh. And as for Kyrie, he showed up as a fan at Barclays Center and sat behind the bench.
Second, and look who just walked into Barclays, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie unable to play this afternoon and because of the city ordinance.
To rub in the face of Mayor Eric Adams that the vaccine mandates didn't make any sense. Being that Kyrie was allowed to enter the stadium, but he wasn't allowed to play in the game. He also really threw a lot of dirt on the Nets on the way out.
I just know I want to be places where I'm celebrated and not just tolerated or just, you know, kind of dealt with in a way that doesn't make me feel respected.
If I'm being honest, I probably would have done some petty bullshit like that too. I could go on, but my point is these 2 men are guilty of malicious behaviors that didn't necessarily help their cause. Alright, that's all 9 categories. If you feel different, leave a comment, please let me know. I did this kind of off the dome. I didn't do a whole lot of research for this, so let me know what I missed. Be good to your mothers, eat a corn dog, and like the video.